Sullivan here for Home Field, the vintage-inspired college t-shirt brand that's going to change your life. Is your closet still full of the same raggedy, itchy shirts from your college freshman orientation? Oh, wow, that's pretty itchy to me. Look at how raggedy these raggedy shirts are over here. Look at that. See you later. Great news. You're an adult now, which means you can go ahead and buy extremely comfortable, high-quality shirts from your favorite school with great designs. Do you need to shop for the sports fan in your life who has little to no personality outside their favorite sports team? Well, Home Field has you covered with 150-plus schools to choose from and designs that any sports fan will enjoy. Have you ever wondered why colleges went away from their classic and vintage logos? Well, Home Field is bringing those designs back.
Finally, a brand that appreciates the good old days.
I told you to stay in your room, Grandpa. Now get off the set. Go. Get out of here. Unique campus traditions, campus ice cream stores, marching bands, baseball scripts, national championships, surfing anteaters, dunking elephants, so many retired mascots. And if that's not your jam, we have a rock and a mink coat. Just look at everything that you get with Home Field. But you gotta act now. Each premium officially licensed t-shirt sells for $34. But if you shop in the next 20 minutes, you're gonna get the same premium officially licensed t-shirt for the same price of $34. There's no difference.
What is going on, guys? It is your boy Keaton Hargett here. Another episode of the Probscast. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. I think we're almost 100 followers on YouTube. So definitely check me out there, the Probscast, Spotify, Apple Music. If you're just watching the Twitter video that I typically keep pinned, I appreciate you regardless. We build a pretty good community here, and I appreciate everyone for interacting. Make sure you like, subscribe, everything in between. Welcome to another episode. Before we get started, I definitely have to say thank you so much to Home Field Apparel. If you are on video, I have this really, really badass shirt. It's a long sleeve white shirt. It says, "Here comes Bullet." It's a Home Field Apparel. It's literally the softest shirt you could ever imagine. And the best part of it is, since you're listening and since you're a fan here, make sure to use code word PROBS for 15% off your first purchase from homefieldapparel.com. I had a lot of people go and use that code. I actually just went and checked how many people are using the code today, and it kind of blew me away because, this is the first kind of big deal that I've gotten for the Probscast, and I'm just really excited. So thank you so much, Home Field Apparel, and make sure to check out homefieldapparel.com and use code word PROBS. We have a lot to talk about. It's looking like it's around almost 11 o'clock here on this beautiful Tuesday night. The weather's getting a little bit cooler, and things are getting hotter in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I swear to God, I did not plan on saying that. But, there seems to be almost it's almost like depressing being on social media. I feel like it's hard to talk to people. It's hard to say things positive about Oklahoma State, and to make matters worse, Texas and Oklahoma are both undefeated, and the rest of the Big 12 is not looking hot. And I'm here to tell you why that's really not a bad thing. Granted, obviously it's the last year for Texas and Oklahoma, and I'm not here to just talk about them the entire time, but what it really looks like is Texas is back. That's the big first one. Texas is back. We saw that with Alabama. They've struggled a couple other areas. I think they can be beat, but Texas is back. I'm still not bought in on Oklahoma. We call it a bias. That's fine. But for the rest of the Big 12, and this is what should have Oklahoma State fans a little bit more optimistic, is you got two undefeated teams at 5-0. You have West Virginia, who just won in Fort Worth during a night game. West Virginia, brand new quarterback, and granted they're 4-1, but it's TCU who went to the national championship last year, missing a couple extra pieces here and there, but still. And then you've got 3-1 Kansas State, and then you got 4-1 Kansas, 4-1 BYU, 3-2 TCU, 2-3 Baylor, 2-3 Iowa State, 2-3 Texas Tech, 2-2 Oklahoma State, 3-2 UCF, Cincinnati and Houston at 2-3. You guys, this is wide open. This is where Gundy is listen, I know it looks like he has lost a fire. I know it's full disarray, and there's a right to be upset. But I'm here to explain to y'all why Oklahoma State can actually do this. I had someone on social media ask me the other day what drugs I was on when I proposed some optimism, and I told them that I was on that orange powder. And I look at this thinking, when you look at the rest of the Big 12, we're 2 wins away from second place in this conference right now, and we still have the easiest schedule in the entire conference. Some of the things that kept me optimistic is, number one, we have a 1 quarterback system. And for all of my consistent listeners, we all know that the 3 quarterback system has never worked. How Gundy pulled it off at Arizona State during a night game blows my mind. Blows my mind. Absolutely. Arizona State might be tanking for a first-round draft pick because that's insanity. This is the same Arizona State, by the way, that went toe-to-toe with USC. But we have a 1 quarterback system, which means there's going to be a lot more confidence and consistency. Should be. But it means there's going to be some consistency, and it's a little bit of change because that's what we all know we needed. The Big 12 is absolutely wide open. We've established that. But one of the biggest things is with the consistency at quarterback is I feel as if Oklahoma State, the offensive side of the ball, has been a sleeping giant. Mike Gundy mentioned in his press conference that Brennan Presley needs more touches. He gets it. We all get it. Brennan Presley needs more touches. In football, you want your best player to have the ball. My stepdad, for a lot of people to pay attention, Hall of Fame TCU, played quarterback in middle school. Why did he play quarterback if he ended up being a defensive tackle? You want your best player to have the ball at all times. I'm not saying Alan Bowman is our best player by any means. What I'm saying, though, is you got Brennan Presley on the outside and you have Ollie Gordon on the inside. It almost feels as if it's like a Tylan Wallace, Chuba Hubbard type deal. And the fact that we've all been wanting Gundy to do a couple things, and he's starting to answer. Now, granted, we lost in Ames, and I don't think a lot of people were expecting a win after the South Alabama game. But what I can say is, Alan Bowman, 23 for 48, 278, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, the last interception, he was trying to force whatever, but it's 2 interceptions. I noticed that he's a 50% passer. You can look across the board. However, with more consistency, more reps, and actual confidence from the huddle when you walk in, he should be doing better. And we all said we want 1 quarterback. Gundy gave it to us in Ames, which we should be excited about. And that was not his actual first start, but Alan Bowman, he's a veteran. He's been here since 2018 playing college football. It's absolutely absurd. The other side is Ollie Gordon. All the fans, we want Ollie Gordon to run the ball more. We want Ollie Gordon to have the ball. And Gundy responded. 18 carries, 121 yards. We had a terrific passing of the ball. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people were catching the ball. So Alan Bowman clearly knows how to distribute the ball, with Brennan Presley being 2 of those for 9 yards. But on other attempts, you're looking at it, and we have a lot of offensive weapons. And people come after Casey Dunn all the time. And I get it. If you look at the numbers, Oklahoma State has really gone downhill offensively every year behind Casey Dunn. And a lot of that was made up with Spencer Sanders running around creating his own deal. But ultimately, you look at what we're walking into, and we're going up against a battered Kansas State. And this Kansas State team somewhat reminds me of last year's Baylor defending conference champions. and Baylor fell apart. They caught lightning in the bottle on the back end of the season. Oklahoma State overlooked them, hoping for a college football playoff bid, played the worst game of football they've played all season, and Baylor fell apart the next season. This could be I get it. Losing to South Alabama at home, sold out crowd, night game, and having your coach laugh the next day, that's a problem. But if y'all are listening to this and you know Gundy just as well as I do, this is sounding like a Mike Gundy. I'm not getting fired. I'm still going to find a way to make myself look good. And he could easily, on a Friday night, hard to travel for opposing fans, night game, blackout. Mike Gundy could, if he wins this game, he might not win back all the fans, but it's not that tough of a stretch for the rest of the season. And I can tell you right now, if we're beaten, we have Kansas State at home, then we have Kansas, we go to West Virginia, then we have homecoming versus Cincinnati, Bedlam, and then 3 out of the 4 newcomers going to Central Florida, to Houston, and BYU at home. I get it. I'm being optimistic. And that can be tough at times because we've seen a lot of bad right now. But we're seeing a lot of changes that people aren't understanding. Ollie Gordon's touching the ball more. Gundy picked a starting quarterback. There's a lot of things that are changing here that, yes, they didn't amount to wins in the first 2 games, and it definitely didn't fix getting blown out by South Alabama at home. But you look at the last 2 seasons, Baylor sneaking up, going to the conference championship, beating Oklahoma State, Kansas State sneaking up, going up against Max Duggan and that terrific TCU team that was last year that made it to the national championship. It is not far-fetched to say that this Big 12 is wide open. And I think Texas can do it. I think Texas can easily walk in there, and they're going to think they're all that, just like Oklahoma State did, just like Baylor did. But it's in no time to absolutely bail on this. And speaking about remaining optimistic, make sure y'all go check out pokeswithapurpose.com. It's the official NIL collective for Oklahoma State. Most of y'all know I am a board member for Oklahoma State's Pokes with a Purpose. Absolutely wonderful people. We're doing an amazing deal. I couldn't be more proud of the way that this collective has turned into a name brand, as opposed to what I hear from other universities saying, oh, the NIL group, the collective. At Oklahoma State, we call it Pokes with a Purpose. We're trying to make it like Coca-Cola. So be sure to go give them a follow at Pokes Purpose on Twitter and at Pokes with a Purpose on Instagram, and check it out. They have some nice new gear out, official NIL merchandise. Absolutely amazing. And all the money goes directly to the athletes. So go check it out, pokeswithapurpose.com. Now, when I say that I'm being optimistic, I totally get why people can hate on me for that. I'm not saying that it's not time to hit the panic button, but I really do feel as if, there is time to turn this thing around. I'm not completely sold out on Oklahoma State. I still think that they can turn it around and wind up in a Kansas State situation or a Baylor situation from the past 2 seasons. I think it's a lot tougher on everyone because the Big 12 did have high hopes. Texas Tech was supposed to be really good this season. TCU was for sure supposed to be better than losing to West Virginia at home. And I'm not taking anything away from Oklahoma State either. I think, the expectations weren't as high for Oklahoma State. It was just the fact of the matter of chasing the 2021 bag and the way that made us feel before the 1 yard short, pardon my French. But I remain optimistic for the rest of the season. I can say this, man, through all the accounts that I've run, it feels really, really tough. I actually just went on a podcast called the Mobscast. It's a Kansas State podcast. It's absolutely amazing. I went for like an hour and 20 minutes or something like with them, and go get it to check out. Kansas State fans have always been some of the nicest fans I've ever met. But whenever I saw that the game was sold out, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's going to be a sea of purple." I'm actually interested to see if that's true or not, just because it's a Friday night game. It's hard to get off from work at 5 o'clock, make a trip down. Kansas State is 5.5 hours away from Stillwater, so that'll definitely be pretty interesting to see. The spread is minus 12.5. It's going to be wild. What I can say to add to the optimism as well is if you look at Coach Gundy's record following a bye week, Gundy's a long tenured coach. We all know this. But since 2005, he's 27-16 following a bye. Since 2013, so the last 10 years, he's 15-9. And since 2018, the last 5 years, he is 8-4. Kansas State's head coach, Chris Klieman, following a bye week since he started at Kansas State in 2019, is 4-6. And I'm a perpetual believer in bounce back games. I think if one team gets blown out, they have a higher chance of winning the next year, or if the next week, if anything. For example, the Miami Dolphins, if anyone watches the NFL, they scored 70 points on the Denver Broncos 2 weeks ago and lost to the Buffalo Bills the next week. And that's an easy gambler's take. If you look into teams that get embarrassed, typically come and fight back the next week, or teams that are way too high typically topple the next week. I understand that this isn't the same Oklahoma State team that we've seen in the past. What I can say is we're getting the changes we want. But as fans, we want perfection, especially with the recent years of Gundy that have been pretty well. And there's a lot of people saying fire Gundy. And then I get it. There's two sides of this sword. I've been an Oklahoma State fan since 2018 when I first got to Oklahoma State, and I've heard fire Gundy and give Gundy a lifetime contract from great years and terrible years. What I can say is this is still the same coach, and I've been preaching it. He knows a lot more about football than me, you, or anyone else in this area. But just keep it short. I really appreciate everyone. Make sure to give me a follow, the Probscast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. I really, really want to give away some home field merchandise. So I'll go ahead and do a giveaway. I'm trying to grow the YouTube followers. I think I'm at 100 followers right now. Whenever it hits next week, anyone who likes, subscribes, and comments underneath this YouTube video, I'll give you a piece of home field merchandise. Remember, they have 150 schools, and use code word PROBS for 15% off your first purchase. You're literally saving money, and it's the most comfortable. Man, I wish I could show y'all more. It's literally the most comfortable merchandise. I bought my mom some shirts. She absolutely loves them. It's that really, really good feel for all my radio audience. I'm sorry that y'all can't see the shirt, but it's really, really badass. So homefieldapparel.com, go check them out. Code word PROBS for 15% off your first purchase from homefieldapparel.com. And other than that, if we win this week, I'll see y'all again. Y'all have a good one.